Every once in a while, car trends stay around forever, you know, like hairstyles and favorite colors, but they actually never do. That's a lie, and that's a way to get into the beginning of this video because things change, all right? Look back 10 years ago at car shows and you'll probably see Pontiac Azteks, Honda Civics, and flat wheel designs because that was in, all right? Nowadays, that's not really popular. I'm Alex, Alex.fi on Instagram, and with that being said, we thought we'd take a trip down memory lane and look at the car trends that began to pass this year and likely not make it through 2020. Come on, bud.
Let's go.
And if you're looking for aftermarket wheels, tires, or suspension, be sure to hit up fitmentindustries.com because that's where we spend all the other time that we're here working on stuff. Except every once in a while, you gotta do a chore around here and somebody's gotta clean the old wheel wall and it's not very fun. And if you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe so we can keep making banging videos like this, and we'll even heart react your comment. That's a big deal, all right? Now, let's talk about the lift-off wings, okay? They're gnarly, they're sweet, and they are extremely large, okay? They're girthy. You'll see people cut into their bumpers to get these bad boys mounted onto their chassis, and 92.5% of the time, it's for looks, which is fine. But the big old wang gang doesn't seem to be as prominent in the scene as it once was, which is a little bit interesting. What was once big old Golden Gate style mount brackets are being replaced with more of like a minimal function style GT wing or even duckbill lips. Now, it's interesting, but the small wing gang is coming back in full force. When we went to SEMA this year, we didn't actually see much of the big wing gang, and I don't know how many times I'm gonna be able to say that in a row, but that's usually a pretty clear indication of the professional modification shops moving towards something else in 2020. Now, you are seeing more of a Formula One style wing versus the big old wang gang, but that's just a whole different story where the wing mounts up to the back and then it's a big old thing. It comes from the centerpiece of the louver and then it splits off. We saw that in the Huracan and the Aventadors and a few other different style wings. It's pretty neat. And even on top of the whole F1 style wing, you're seeing that really popular on R8s and stuff now, but really it's more about keeping the wing below the top part of the car. How neat is that? Another car trend that we see dying, but not necessarily DOA just yet, is people's affinity for neutral color palettes. So if you go to a dealership right now, you'll see nearly every shade of black, white, gray, maybe even the occasional red out there. But a few years ago, if you wanted to paint your car something other than like a stock color, everyone aimed for the good old slate gray with like purple hardware, and that was mint. But the world has now become 50 shades of gray when it comes to colors, and not necessarily in a good way, all right? Porsches and BMWs have paved the way for introducing new and fun colors back into the car world. You know, since pretty much every other damn color out there right now is pretty boring, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but they're pretty flat. You know, they're pretty normal. Nowadays, you have BMW and Porsche coming out with colors like lizard green, lava orange, you have a mola yellow that's making a comeback, and that has leaked into the aftermarket world as well. Now you see people like TJ Hunt painting a 458 forest green, you see Chris Hill's new Supra being wrapped in crazy-ish designs, and even Button-Build's Ferrari feature a level of uniqueness versus the typical red you see on those kind of cars. Now wraps are tricky, mostly because not everyone has the best experiences with them, but they continue to be an easy way to get creative with your car without having to paint it every other season. And it's not permanent, which is also a good thing because a lot of people our age have a tendency to deal with, you know, emotional attachment issues and things, I don't know. They just don't like commitment. We started to see a little shifty boy in the wheel scene too, and we've talked about it before, but what we're seeing slowly die is the super concave style stuff. Now, most people are switching to a step lip or standard lip with flat face hardware or flat face wheel with hardware. Now, this has to do with more and more one-piece wheel companies offering lower offset wheels, and if you guys don't remember, lower offset means that the wheel sticks out further from your fender. It makes a pokey boy, okay? Now, lower offset wheels at a low price point, but that's pretty rare. What used to be rare is now actually pretty common. Now, newer style bodies are getting increasingly wide, and the standard wheel arches are getting bigger and bigger. Now, I hope this doesn't die because I do have a tendency to love concave wheels, but it seems like the world is going away from just concave. A lot of people prefer a one-piece wheel with a huge lip and a flat face. Another thing we've noticed go by the wayside is the use of Plasti-Dip as a temporary color change to interior pieces and exterior ones as well. Wrap has become more common, cost-effective, and allows you to do neat patterns and such, so you don't really see a lot of Plasti-Dip anymore. Now, Plasti Dip is still used commonly to change the vehicle color and all sorts of unique and crazy stuff out there, but with the introduction of aftermarket wheels coming in the bronze, red, and brush finishes like right from the get-go, a lot of people end up just leaving their wheels the same color that they got them for. Pair that with the fact that exterior pieces are no longer just getting completely blacked out anymore, and now you're not seeing it as commonly used. Now, it still has a place in the aftermarket automotive community, and there's tons of people out there that can make some really fancy stuff happen with Plasti Dip and some good old clear. But hey, Plasti Dip is still an easy way to change the color of whatever your little heart desires without having to worry about razor marks, broken tabs from removing bits, and all that sort of good stuff. Another interesting thing we haven't seen that often anymore are full carbon hood replacements. Now, you guys remember Need for Speed Heat, by the way, we're on that. That's pretty fun. But anyway, that seems, okay, whatever. Okay, so hoods and trunks are no longer just carbon fiber replacements. It's just not a thing as much anymore. Need for Speed Most Wanted had a carbon hat, and now you're over here and you're like, nah, I'll just keep it the same color. And I'm not entirely sure why that one is such a different thing. Now, Evos and SDIs are still iconic for having carbon fiber hoods and roofs and trunks and all that sort of stuff, but it's just not as common anymore on off-meta cars. It seems like most people are just sticking to the hood they got, or potentially getting an aftermarket hood with some indentations or maybe hood vents and stuff like that, but nothing really extravagant like a full carbon fiber replacement, which is a little bit weird. So what's a car trend that you've been seeing maybe pass away over the past few years, or what's something that you think is going to go away in 2020? Let us know in the comments below, of course, and if you guys are looking for us to talk about something next, let us know, because that's where we get like 99% of these ideas. And if you're looking for aftermarket wheels, tires, or suspension, be sure to check out fitmentindustries.com, where we have it all. I'm Alex from Fitment Industries. We hope you guys enjoyed this. We will see you later. Peace.